All right, welcome everyone. Great to have you here. Welcome to this edition of the Coaching Club. It's great to see you all. And whether you're live or watching the recording, we are in for a fun and exciting time tonight. So thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and start this screen. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So the theme of the Coaching Club theme for this month is consistency, building consistency. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and hopefully share some new ideas. So got one other person joining here. Hang on, I'm having technical difficulties. One second. Are you kidding me? Okay. Sorry about that. We've got Julie.
All right.
Hey, Julie. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
We're just getting started. So I'm going to try this share again and hopefully not
Sorry.
issues.
Mark, if you want to make me a co-host, I could let people in if they, well, no, I guess nobody can let people in when we're screen sharing, can they?
I think so. Let me make you a co-host just in case.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So welcome. I'll start over again. Welcome to this edition of the Coaching Club. Great to have you with us. And today, this month, we are talking about consistency. It's so cool with the Coaching Club that you get different perspectives on an important topic. I found that these are topics that, for me, are very insightful. And when I apply some of the things that are presented and are able to get them working in my life, it makes a big difference. So it's really fun to be able to explore some new angles on it tonight. And I'm looking forward to your participation and your ideas. So let me just take a poll here. How many have had this type of experience? I call it the euphoria fade. So you just finished the book. You just attended a conference. You just finished a coaching session with your coach, whatever it is, and you go, yes, this is it. I'm so excited. This is such a cool idea. I know this is going to make a big difference in my life, and I'm all in. I am going to do this. I am absolutely going to make this change. And the next morning you wake up and you see your affirmations and you do it and you think about it during the day. And that night you're writing your journal, and then you are on fire. You're going and going. And then you wake up a week later, and this is kind of the way it is. You go, well, yeah, that was a pretty good book, or that was a pretty important conference, and yeah, I really, yeah, I still think I want to do that. And then a week later, it's kind of like this, and you're probably reading the next book or thinking about the next conference or the next experience. And so, anybody had that type of experience?
Yeah. And then you put it on the shelf and it becomes shelf help.
Yeah. That's a good one. I hadn't heard that before. Shelf help book. So the challenge for many of us, I think, is consistency. And in my experience, it's not that we don't want to be more consistent. We all know that that there are big payoffs if we can be more consistent. And we really want to. It's not that we don't have the desire, but there are things that are getting in the way of being able to make that part of our lives. Consistency is closely, in my mind, is closely allied to forming a new habit. And so the question is, how long does it take to form a new habit? The long-standing consensus was about 21 days. I think there was some research a while back that showed that that was kind of the bogey. There's been recent research that just came out very recently that suggests it takes more like 66 days on average. Can be shorter or longer depending on the person and the situation. But somewhere in the 3 weeks to 2 months range is what it takes to establish a habit of consistency that's going to stay with us and move forward in our lives. So the real question is, what are those consistency killers? If we all want to be more consistent, we want those things to happen in our lives, what are the things that are getting in our way? So I'd like you to take just a minute here and jot down, think through maybe a euphoria fade experience that you've had recently, and write down the 3 things that are the biggest consistency killers for you. I'll give you a couple of minutes on that. Hey, everybody got that? Give you just another few seconds here to finish it up. Okay. Who is brave enough to want to share some thoughts on that?
We're all brave on this call.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I was thinking that my biggest consistency killer was overscheduling my time.
Ah, okay. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I'll just get like overwhelmed and I'll think, I don't even know where to start. And so then I just don't even want to start.
Okay. So it's just like, yeah, I really want to do this thing, but it looks so big and hairy and complex and whatever that where do you start? And so it's time to move on, huh?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Who else?
I have 4.
Okay, 4. Overachiever.
The bed,
Okay,
the lack of bed,
okay.
ice cream tastes so good,
Okay.
and lack of accountability.
Okay. Oh, good. Those are all good. I really relate to the ice cream tastes so good. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you, Chris. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I have negative thoughts or beliefs, lack of structure or plan. Life happens, so there are emergencies or things that come up, and then lack of implementation or a schedule.
Okay.
I guess that goes with a plan, but anyway.
Yeah. Plan or schedule.
You're not going to call her an overachiever? That was 4.
Oh, well, that was 4. Yeah. You can be in the overachiever club too. That's good. All right. So are those?
I was
What?
just going to say, I didn't know I could share so many.
Oh, well, you know, if you have another one you want to throw out, let's go for it.
Well, I have goofing off and then also sometimes in the last year I've been kind of depressed, so that kept me from my goals.
Oh, okay. Well, you just set a new high bar. That was 5. So are those items that you either wrote down or that you just heard? Are those items that you have thought about or confronted or been maybe a little bit annoyed with or discouraged with in the past in trying to achieve consistency?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, the challenge, I think, is we know we want to be consistent, and we're able to identify the killers, the consistency killers. But the biggest challenge is, so what can I do about it? How can I overcome these killers, or how can I be more effective in taking those big goals and plans and things that I really want to make happen in my life and carry them forward through that threshold of either 21, somewhere in the range of 21 to 66 days until they become a habitual part of my life. So let me share a few thoughts with you, a few ideas to consider that I've found to be consistent or be effective in my journey, and others that I've worked with in being able to address those killers. So I call them.
So what was the official 3?
What was the what?
Official 3 killers.
The special 3 killers?
No, what you said there was going to be 3 of them. We came up with our own ideas. What was it that was the official ones?
Oh, the official ones. Okay, well, here are some ideas for you to consider. These are the ones that I came up with.
Oh, okay.
I call them the consistency killers. So you're able to, these are ideas for killing those consistency killers, so that it's kind of like a double negative thing, These are the consistency killers that you might think about arming yourself with to overcome those things that we just talked about. So
this is becoming kind of a violent call.
well, we'll get away from the guns here in a minute. We'll go to cute little baby chicks. How's that? So the first idea is what I call focused sprints. And to Janae's point, for me, a lot of times I am a curious person, and I'm highly motivated. So it's like I read a book. Oh yeah, I want to do that, and then I hear another thing. Oh, I can do that, and I can do all of these things. And I get to a point where it's just overwhelming, and I end up not doing much at all. And so it's kind of like those ideas are all these hungry little baby chicks in the nest waiting to be fed, right? And you get more and more of them in the nest, and pretty soon none of them are getting fed adequately, and they're not taken care of. So the idea here is to just pick one. Start out with one. Pick one of those baby birds that is hungry for your attention, and focus on it and nurture it for the amount of days that it takes to get it really to be a part of your routine. The important thing here is we're not going to kill the other babies. We're not going to let them die of starvation. They're just kind of waiting in the nest still, and we'll get back to them, and they won't die, and we can nurture them and move them along. But their older brother or sister is going to have a chance here first for us to really focus and nurture them for that sprint of a few weeks, to where they can really grow up and become a mature part of our routine. That makes sense? If you have comments along the way here, feel free to chime in.
That sounds so doable. Just pick one.
Just pick one, yeah. And it doesn't even have to be your favorite, but just pick one and just do it. And don't worry about the others. They'll still be there waiting for you when you come back. Second idea is what we call habit stacking. And this is a method where you can piggyback on a current well-established habit, and then just kind of slice this into your routine and make it a part of that habit. So if you have a habit of taking your vitamins every morning, and you never miss that, you always do it, but you also want to start taking a new supplement that you heard about, but you keep forgetting to take it, then you can slice it in and piggyback on top of that already established habit and just make it part of that routine. It doesn't make it really disruptive. It doesn't make it so you have to drop one to add on the other, but you can stack it on and make it an additional part of your routine. I'll talk about how that works for me really well in just a second here with one that's coming up, actually the next one. Any thoughts on that or any experiences with that? Okay. This next one, to me, this is one of the most fundamental things for self-improvement, to stay away from shelf improvement, that I have ever come across, and that I call it the my AM/PM practice, morning and night, and to me, it's really an infrastructure around which we can, or into which we can add additional things that we're trying to accomplish in our lives. And so this is just a crucial piece of the whole puzzle in my mind, and making it a never miss kind of an event, no matter what's going on. And for me, the hardest thing along this line is when life is just going on and the routine is pretty stable. This, for me, this is pretty easy to do. But when vacations come up, or when it's the end of the semester and kids or grandkids are doing programs and special, they have all these things going on, or holidays come up, or these kinds of things make it more difficult for me to be consistent with this. But if I just say, this is a never miss kind of a thing, even if I have mine in my closet here behind me on the walls, actually, and I open it up, even if I only spend 2 minutes and look at my vision board and say a couple of my affirmations, and so just so that I can say I did it, then that has become an infrastructure around which then I can start slicing in what we talked about in number 2, and start adding additional things in. Maybe that one hungry bird, that a baby bird becomes part of that infrastructure. And so this is a really great way we can add in another goal that we want to be consistent with. And to me, the most effective way is to, in the morning, make it part of your daily plan, your vision, your goal for that day, what it is that you're hoping to accomplish. And then at night, the PM part of the infrastructure or the practice is to assess how things went, and to be accountable, but also look at if there were things that didn't go to plan, what can I do differently, and how can I do it differently tomorrow? Does that make sense? I know most of you are probably practicing vision boards and affirmations and that kind of thing in some way. But to me, I've found making it, putting it into a structure in this way helps me to be much more consistent. Any thoughts?
It works.
Okay. Next idea, I call it live and learn. And this is, I don't recall any time that I've ever started out with the goal, either in personal life, in business, in family, whatever, to where it came out exactly the way I had planned it. There's always twists and turns along the way, and sometimes it even turns out better than I had planned. And sometimes not quite what I planned, but really good still. So the idea here is, for consistency, sometimes we really beat ourselves up, and we start the negative talk and saying, well, I didn't do it exactly the way I had thought, or it didn't turn out the way I was expecting. And so we kind of lose interest, and we fade into the euphoria fade. And so this is an idea of, as you're going through the 66-day process, reassess that goal. And as you're into it and you're seeing, well, this is working, but that's not, maybe I can move this direction, maybe I can pivot that way. It's okay. It's okay to do that. And use the experience and the things that have come up for you to make those adjustments along the way. Also, it's a really good opportunity to study those things that are the killers for your pattern, and maybe take a step back and say, really, what's happening here? Do I need to get the ice cream out of the fridge? Do I need to, find a way to get that bed off my back in the morning, or, whatever your killer is, maybe a way of dealing with those negative thoughts or whatever it is, but stepping back and saying, what are my killers, and how can I be more effective with them? There's this saying here that improvements come from not reliving the same experience over and over again. So if we go through an experience, and the gift in that experience is being able to see what went well and what didn't, and how we can improve and move forward on it. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I in my coaching, when I'm doing accountability with my client and they failed to complete an action step, instead of just saying, oh, well, let's carry that over for next week, I say, well, what held you back? And we talk about why they didn't do it. And a lot of times in between when we decided that was a good idea and when it was actually time to do it, their perspective has shifted and it's no longer valuable to them. So before I reassign an action step, I always say, is that still important to you? And that usually generates a really useful conversation.
Very cool. Very cool. And does it sometimes lead to something unexpected for them, that they started down this path, but by going down that path, it opened another opportunity to them that was more valuable?
Yes, and sometimes it's just too big. And so, when it's too big, it can be overwhelming. And so we break it down and take a smaller step toward that goal.
That's powerful. That's really good. Thank you, Curtis. Any other ideas? Okay. Moving on to the next one. I call this one Use Your Tech. And use the level of tech that works for you, whatever you're comfortable with. I have a lot of friends who set alarms and reminders in their phones, or have software for planning their day and all their goals and all that kind of thing, very elaborate and very high tech. But I also have friends who use rubber bands on their wrists, or to snap and remind them of something, and a lot of things in between, or a sticker on the mirror, or something low tech like that. But this is something that I think can be very helpful, because it is a built-in reminder that's there for you every day or multiple times a day, to help keep you focused on that one thing. Now, the example here of the guy with the bands on his wrist didn't get the memo about feeding one baby bird at a time, right? So he may be headed for overwhelm here. But the idea is, you don't have to be super technical. you can actually bury yourself in too much detail. I've found a couple of times in my life over the last 10 years or so, I thought, okay, I'm going to get this new software. It looks really great. I'm going to be able to plan everything out. I'll be able to calendar it. I'll be able to prioritize it. It'll give me reminders and all of that kind of thing. And to a point, it has been helpful, but there were a couple of times where the process became so all-encompassing that I kind of lost sight of actually achieving what I was trying to achieve. So you can overkill, I think, on this kind of thing. But it can be very useful to have those reminders and those little things that pop up or that are in front of you or that you carry around with you that can be really, really helpful in getting over that 66-day barrier and to where it becomes a habit for you. Any experiences with that?
I have a comment on feeding one baby bird at a time.
Okay.
I noticed in my experience that if I'm focusing on one area of my life to improve it, that I inevitably the other areas of my life will rise as well, though not as quickly. And one training I went to said it this way: how you do anything is how you do everything. Like you can't become excellent in one thing without the excellence of the other areas rising with it.
Ooh, oh, I like that.
So maybe maybe that one baby bird that's getting fed will be sloppy and some will fall on the bottom of the nest and the other birds will get it too.
I like that. Rising tide floats all boats, huh? Raises all. Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Thank you. Hang on a minute. My computer is beeping at me. It wants to be fed. There we go. I don't want to die in the middle of this. That is one important thing to feed. Any other thoughts?
Well,
Okay.
it's interesting what Curtis says because it goes the other way too. When you start bombing out on other areas, then you kind of spiral. So you can spiral either way.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, it can be an upward spiral or a downward spiral. Okay, excellent. Thank you. And lastly, be consistently kind and patient with yourself. And this kind of goes back to some of the comments about the negative self-talk and the missed expectations and all of that kind of thing. Janae, to your point, it's really easy to get into that. I like to call it stinking thinking, where we have those negative things that, oh, I didn't do it again and I forgot again and I said I was going to and I didn't, and we can go down that rabbit hole pretty fast. So I just like to encourage people to be kind to yourself. It's okay to start over, and there's nothing that says that if you don't make it in 66 days, you're a bad person, or you're not as fast or as smart as the other person that made it in 43 days or whatever else. It's not a race. It's not a competition. This is just an opportunity for us to be consistently kind and patient with ourselves, and to in that PM practice, if we look at it and say, well, I really didn't do it today, but tomorrow's another day. I can give it another shot tomorrow. So to the points that have already been made, it's really powerful when we can have that consistent positive energy flowing in a particular area of our life that's going to benefit us in many other areas. So those are my thoughts, ideas on consistency, and to help us overcome the euphoria fade that we often experience by picking a particular bird to feed. Be consistent in our feed it into an AM and PM practice that can be helpful, and stack it on other goals, or I'm sorry, other habits that we may already have out there, and be patient and be kind with yourself. So there you go. Any parting thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, I'd like to add to your last concept, and that is it's so easy to get out your stick and start beating yourself when you do less than you hoped. And that, of course, sends you in the wrong direction. So I totally agree. Be kind and patient and gentle with yourself.
Mhm.
Goes a long way. It goes a long way. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. It's always great to be with you. I appreciate your thoughts. I always come away having learned something new and exciting for my life. So keep up the good work, be consistent, and be consistently kind to yourself.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay,
Thanks, Mark.
everybody.
Mhm.
Thanks for being awesome.
Mhm.
You are awesome too. Have a good one.